Our Story Productions presents On the Road to Our Story, featuring a variety of programs that take a closer look at the organizations, businesses, and people located in the small communities of the Midwest. So get ready, for you're about to travel on the road to our story. Get ready, because just when you thought you'd gotten the cockleburs out of your overalls, they're now on TV. That's right. This is one weed you won't want to pull. The Cocklebur Morning Show, with hosts who deliver a mix of news, entertainment, and information about the communities throughout our story country. Now on this station and the web.
Hello, I'm Jason Howland. Welcome to Speaking of Health, a place to help you learn how to live a longer and healthier life. November is American Diabetes Month, raising awareness of a disease that affects millions of Americans. Our guests today are Julie Shima, certified diabetes educator with Mayo Clinic Health System, and Linda Carruthers, who is a registered dietitian and nutritionist at Mayo Clinic Health System as well. Ladies, thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having us, Jason.
Well, as I said earlier, diabetes is a disease. It affects so many lives in this country. Julie, first of all, how common is diabetes?
Well, about 29 million people in the United States have diabetes. Only about 21 million of those people know they actually have the disease. We estimate another 8 million have the disease but have not been told yet. Approximately 86 million people are pre-diabetic. 1 in 3 people in the United States will develop diabetes in their lifetime.
So, Julie, what exactly is diabetes? It's a disease, correct?
Yes, it is. It's a chronic illness, Jason. It's a disease that the body does not have the ability to utilize the glucose in the bloodstream. A person with diabetes has too much sugar trapped in the bloodstream. Sugar is our body's energy. It's what our muscles use and what our brain uses to do all of its functions. A person that has diabetes can't utilize that sugar in the bloodstream. Person with type 1 diabetes doesn't produce enough insulin to regulate the glucose. A person with type 2 diabetes has developed what we call insulin resistance. And then we have ladies during pregnancy that develop diabetes, and we call that gestational diabetes.
So what are some of the health problems and complications that can occur in life because of diabetes?
Diabetes typically affects the circulatory system, and that leads to all other types of illnesses, one being increased risk of heart attack, stroke, blindness. It can lead to blindness or other visual disturbances. It can lead to kidney failure, and it can also be, it is the leading cause of lower limb amputations, secondary only to maybe a car accident or other blunt force accident.
So, Linda, earlier Julie mentioned prediabetes and 86 million Americans that have prediabetes. What exactly is prediabetes?
So, Jason, prediabetes is the condition that comes before diabetes. And there aren't any symptoms that are related to it. So there are many people who have it and don't even know that they have it. Statistics say that 9 out of 10 people don't know they have it, and 15 to 30% of people with prediabetes will develop type 2 diabetes within 5 years if they don't make some drastic lifestyle changes.
So how do I find out if I have prediabetes?
Well, you need to be checked. It's a blood test. Usually they'll call it a fasting glucose, fasting blood sugar, that you have to have done to know if you have it. So you can either go to your doctor or your provider, ask if you've had it done, request to have it done, and if you have the patient online services, you can actually go onto the Mayo Clinic website, pull up your lab work. You have to get registered first to use that portal, but then get registered, get on there, pull up your own lab work and be able to see what your number was the last time you had it, and then absolutely have that conversation with your provider about what your blood sugar is.
So 86 million Americans with prediabetes, that number still just amazes me. Yeah. What can those people that are at risk of prediabetes or that have diabetes, What can they do to delay or prevent type 2 diabetes?
There's three main categories. The first one is physical activity. And the most current recommendations are 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity activity. So moderate intensity, 150 minutes a week, so 30 minutes 5 times a week would take care of that. Another thing is to maintain a healthy weight. And we live in a society now where everything is bigger, portions are bigger, the plates are bigger, our drinking glasses, coffee cups are huge now that people drink out of. So we need to take a good check on what we're eating for portions, and is that what's really recommended? There's some of the boxed meals you can buy at the grocery store, the kind of meals where the noodles or pasta and the sauce packets are there. You add a pound of ground beef and maybe some water. And I don't think many people are really aware that one of those boxes is supposed to have 5 servings per box. And I really haven't met many people that say they get more than 3 servings. I've met some people, younger people, that tell me they eat that for a meal, the entire box. So you'd have to take all those numbers on that nutrition facts label and multiply those times 5. And those numbers would be very high for carbohydrates and fat and sodium and all of those things. So along with that, maintaining a healthy weight besides portion sizes is cutting back on fat and calories. That's going to help promote a weight loss, and to avoid concentrated sources of sugar. When we're thinking of soda pop, fruit juice drinks, even fruit juice itself, if people are taking in a lot of sugar, that's going to turn into blood sugar running through our systems, and that's definitely going to put us at risk or on a faster track to actually developing type 2 diabetes. And third is to take prescription medications. Some people with prediabetes may have been given a prescription by their provider for a medication that will help lower the blood sugar. We want to make sure that you are taking that if you've been prescribed that, and that may help as well hold off the actual diagnosis of type 2 diabetes.
So you mentioned concentrated sources of sugar and soda and fruit juice drinks, those sort of things. What about sweets, candies, cakes, pies, those sort of things that have a lot of sugar in it too? I'm guessing that those are also probably not good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But people seem to eat candy more of just in maybe perhaps binge settings compared to soda pop that people are drinking all day long and just having that constant source of sugar running through the system. But actually any of those concentrated sources of sugar, so sweets and candy would be included in that as well. Yes.
And when you mentioned physical activity, moderate physical activity, what exactly is that?
They say how you can judge it is you should be able to walk while you're doing it, but you should not be able to sing. You don't have enough wind to be able to sing, but you have enough breath left to be able to speak. So that's how you know if you're doing it at the right intensity, that moderate intensity. And it can be biking, if you're not going downhill the entire way, walking, rollerblading, whatever type of activity you do that really gets that heart rate up there and you're exercising that heart in the proper fashion.
So Julie, are there any symptoms of diabetes? If someone, can they display symptoms that maybe would suspect that they may be getting type 2 diabetes?
Most of the time, patients that we work with do not have any physical signs at all. They come to us and they're very surprised that they have diabetes. And personally, I think that's one of the most dangerous things about having diabetes is that you don't feel it. You can't really feel a change. However, sometimes if it occurs more rapidly, people will come in with complaints of excessive thirst. And this is a thirst that is very difficult to quench. You drink and drink and drink, and unfortunately people may be grabbing sodas to quench their thirst, which is really adding fuel to the fire. If you're drinking like that, then you're going to be using the bathroom more frequently. And then there are some people that will come in to see the doctor and complain of unexplained weight loss. And that's due to a person losing a lot of the sugar through their kidneys, through their urine, and they're actually urinating out a lot of calories. So they're losing weight, but they can't explain why. They're not exercising more, reducing their calories.
So really it's a matter of being aware that you may be at risk and then checking with your healthcare provider.
That's correct. That's correct. We really encourage at least a yearly physical that will include a fasting lab test. Most frequently, doctors will run that now as a routine lab work.
So what is an insulin shot? So I've heard with diabetics they have to take an insulin shot. What is that, and why can't diabetics just take an insulin as a pill?
Insulin cannot be ingested through the mouth and into the stomach yet. I know they're probably working on something like that in years to come, but insulin is a protein, much like a hamburger or any other protein. It will be digested in the stomach and it'll never reach the bloodstream. So patients that require insulin need to use a syringe or an insulin pen, or some people even wear an insulin pump, and that delivers the insulin just under the skin into fat tissue, and then the insulin will find its way to the bloodstream where it can do its work from that point on.
And the purpose of the insulin shot is to what?
The insulin is a hormone that regulates the amount of glucose in the bloodstream. I always explain to patients that insulin will escort blood sugar to a cell, a muscle cell, to be burnt as energy. Insulin is our body's gasoline, so we need to have it. So insulin brings that glucose molecule to one of millions of tissues in our body. Insulin also will take what's left over at the end of the day, the extras, and store that as fat.
So why do diabetics have to check their blood sugar so often? And what are some of the tests that they do that with?
Some of the tests that we use, one is called the hemoglobin A1C, and that's a blood test that's ran at your doctor's office about twice a year. And that gives us a background of the general control of how a patient is managing their diabetes. A patient is also asked to test their blood sugar at home with a home monitor. And after working with their doctor or diabetes educator like myself, we would set up a program for them and explain to them when are the best times to check your blood sugar at home, what time of the day will give you the most information.
Can you explain what diabetic shock is? I've heard of that term. What exactly is that?
Well, I mentioned earlier that glucose is our body's gasoline. All of our muscle tissue requires a constant source of glucose, much like a conveyor belt. Our brain is no different. It needs to be bathed in glucose 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If too much glucose leaves the bloodstream, our brain kind of goes into a shock. It doesn't have the nourishment needed to continue normal processes.
What are some of the risk factors for diabetes?
Some of the risk factors would be a family history. Mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, grandpa that have diabetes. If it's often very genetic. It's passed down through the family tree. Being older than 45 can raise your chances of developing type 2 diabetes. Having certain ethnic background, African American population, Pacific Islanders, Asians, American Indians, they run a tendency to run or develop diabetes much more than other populations.
So Linda, back to you. Your specialty is nutrition. And as a dietitian, you work with diabetic patients quite a bit, I would imagine. For folks that maybe have some of those risk factors, diet-wise, are there certain things that they can be doing to maybe either delay or prevent diabetes from occurring?
Those same things that we mentioned before, looking at weight loss if they need to lose weight. And anybody can pull up online the body mass index or BMI chart. And it looks at your height versus your weight, and it puts you in a category. So you can see if you're in the normal range, overweight, or obese. Look at that body mass index and determine if losing weight would be a benefit, because it absolutely would. Like Julie said, the more fat a body carries, the more resistant those cells seem to be able to use the insulin. So to look at ways you can lose weight, and one thing that ties nicely into losing weight is exercise. So when anybody comes in to see me, whether it's for prediabetes or diabetes, we always cover both of those areas. Healthy eating, exercise, and for activity, just moving more. Buy a pedometer, and it doesn't have to be an expensive one. Some people like the more expensive ones, but purchase one of those and aim for 10,000 steps every single day. You won't start out at 10,000 steps, but if you're starting out at 3,000, mark it on a calendar and tell yourself the next day you can do better, setting that ultimate goal at least 10,000 steps a day. And again, be conscious of of portion sizes, what you're eating at restaurants. You don't have to clean your plate. None of us have signed a contract to be members of the Clean Plate Club. Take half of that restaurant meal home. Now the meal you paid $10 for will only cost you $5 for each of the 2 meals. Just really being more mindful of what you're eating.
All right. Well, unfortunately, we are all out of time, but I'd like to thank our guests today, Julie Shima, who's a certified diabetes educator with Mayo Clinic Health System, and Linda Carruthers, a dietitian and nutritionist at Mayo Clinic Health System as well. Great topic, and thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Have a great day, everyone, and be healthy.
Get ready, because now you can watch a full of fun daytime talk show that shares the latest and greatest news about the people, places, and events found all over our story country. The Women of Sweet Swine County, hosted by 3 sassy ladies that tell small town stories with big town attitude. Now on this station and the web.
This program has been made possible by The Daily Boar. This sometimes daily newspaper reports the news the residents of Sweet Swine County want to know. Also now featured online at sweetswinescoop.com.
Our Story Productions presents Cooking It Up with Betty, a saucy look at our story. So, get ready for the one and only Betty Thompson!
Welcome back to another exciting episode of Cooking It Up with Betty. What a show we have planned for you today. I'm going to be making a special dish with my special guest. We will have reports from my What's Cooking reporters of what's exciting out there in our story country to see and hear. And without further ado, let's get started. Today I have a nice young man from college, Purdue University, woo! My university alma mater. His name is Ben in class, and I would like to have you welcome him. Ben?
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Well, I'm so glad to have you. I understand that usually I have to be out looking for guests, and I found out you volunteered to be my guest. How did that happen?
Well, actually, somehow I got wrapped up into interning with Cousin John over at Cluck TV.
Oh.
Basically, I've just been following him around with a notepad, writing down his every thought.
Oh, well then you haven't used much paper, right?
He does his best.
I shouldn't say that. Sometimes Cousin John does watch my show. Not very often, but yeah, I have to be kind of careful about that. After all, he does pay the big bucks.
He pays me too.
Oh, well, that's good, good. And you're from the university at PU, is that correct?
PU! Woo!
Yes, indeed. And what are you majoring in?
Well, I'm majoring in 8-track repair, but I'm taking a minor in pig wrangling, and I'm hoping to get my certificate in mass media.
Oh, okay. Well, I was culinary arts. I guess that stands to reason. I usually have a little glass of wine while we're doing this. Would you like some wine?
No, I'm good on the wine, actually. I brought something for myself.
Oh. Yeah.
Would you like some?
Okay. I guess I can have some.
Definitely. Party on.
Oh, this is new and exciting. Oh, okay. That's good. That's good.
It's good.
Oh, yes, indeed. Well, I have these reporters out in the field, and they go around to all different places, and they find out what's going on out there in our story country. Would you like to see one of those reports?
Of course.
Okay, let's go to one of those.
Lenny Leftover here, just returned from the road. I and my fellow What's Cooking reporters have discovered incredible restaurants, cafes, diners, supper clubs, and bakeries in small towns. Now you can learn what we've learned on clucktv.com. I found them so incredible, the only leftover was I, Lenny Leftover.
Located in Shawano, Wisconsin, in Shawano County, you will find Angie's Main Cafe. The building that is currently home to Angie's was originally built in 1948 by Henry Den to house Den's ice cream shop. Fast forward to 1998 when Angie Bistoff purchased the building, Angie had a vision. She wanted to serve great tasting, quality home-cooked food made right before your eyes. Food that not only tastes good, but is good for you. We offer smart plate choices that get thumbs up from the local health professionals, Angie said with a smile. We use real cheese, real potatoes, real hand-patted burgers made from 100% beef with no fillers. At Angie's Main Cafe, you can expect homemade everything: jellies, pies, breads, veggie burgers, soups, as well as gluten-free homemade bread and grass-fed burgers. Angie's features famous real homemade potato pancakes and homemade buttermilk pancakes that are so good you'll be back for more. Delicious, nutritious options every day at Angie's Main Cafe. Here's what people are saying. We were just passing through Shawano on our way to Green Bay and stopped in to get some food that morning. I think it was July. Angie hooked us up. She was the best, incredibly friendly and personable. You could see it in the way she interacted with her staff and her regulars too. She's just one of those warm, caring people that brightens up everyone's day. And the cafe itself is cute, retro-themed, and everyone sits at the counter, lots of locals there who appeared to be regular customers, and a really cool vibe to the whole place. The food was awesome too, simple, homey breakfast food that was filling and delicious. Open 7 days a week, Angie invites you to stop and enjoy a delicious meal in Angie's Main Cafe's original 50s diner. Angie's Main Cafe, Shawano, Wisconsin.
Wow, those places look great. Do you have any food like that today?
Oh, yes, indeed. We're going to be making a hot dish today. This is a cheesy, beefy hot dish. And what I've done so far is I've cooked the noodles, and then I've made a nice cheesy sauce here with 2 different kinds of cheeses, my special seasoning, and we're going to mix that all together, and then we're going to add some beef to that.
You know, that looks really good and all, but I think it'd be a lot easier if we just cook some ramen noodles on the stove. That's my specialty.
But that's just noodles. This has everything. This has all the different ingredients. And you know, it'd be a big hit back at the dorm at PU University. Yes, we're cooking now. All right, and now I'm going to add the beef, and I've jazzed up the beef with some onion, some garlic, some green and red pepper, and we're going to stir this all together, and then we're going to put it in our casserole dish to bake. You know, if you're only eating noodles or takeout food at the university, you know, this will be a big hit there back at PU.
PU.
Are you out for any of the sports or anything like that there at PU?
Well, I'm good at sports like I'm good at everything else, but I'm mostly on the horseshoe team. That takes up a lot of my time.
Would you like to stir this together? We just want to get that cheese mixed in with the macaroni. Would you like to do that?
Definitely. I'm good at stirring too.
All right. And of course, I use my special seasonings to season this up to make it taste really, really special. Oh, you're doing a good job there, Ben.
Thank you.
You know, I understand that the younger viewing audience are going to be watching now because I have a young person on my show, and I think that's great. I think the girls are going to really be excited.
Definitely will. Always been good with the ladies. Just as good at chasing women as I am at chasing pigs.
All right. Well, that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and put it into our casserole dish here. Oh,
that's my special touch.
Oh, that's your special touch, and this is my special touch. Well,
you want this in
yes,
there?
Yeah, let's put it in there.
Okay.
And then we will get it into the oven. Oh, that looks good. Oh, Ben, you're doing a great job. You know, normally I have to coerce my guests into helping me, but you're digging right in here, and that's great. Well, look at that. Now it's ready to go in the oven, and we will have that baking. So while that's doing that, and we're finishing up here, let's go to another What's Cooking It Up report.
Sounds good. Would you like some more beer?
I still have some, thank you.
Lenny Leftover here, just returned from the road. I and my fellow What's Cooking reporters have discovered incredible restaurants, cafes, diners, supper clubs, and bakeries in small towns. Now you can learn what we've learned on CluckTV.com. I found them so incredible, the only leftover was I, Lenny Leftover.
Located in Crandon, Wisconsin, and Forest County, you will find BC Cakes and More. What started as a specialty making cakes for friends and family has turned into a thriving business for Brooke and Carmen Strong. Brooke has a degree in culinary arts and experience in the food service industry, while Carmen's education focused on business management and marketing. With strengths in diverse areas, Brooke and Carmen contribute equally to the success of their cake shop. As they continued to build their customer base and find their niche for 5 years, Brooke and Carmen realized a growing market for their cakes and cupcakes in the area. So much that in February of 2015, they opened a storefront in downtown Crandon. This has allowed them to offer so much more than just cakes and cupcakes. Today they offer delicious fresh baked muffins, protein bars, cheesecakes, cannolis, whoopie pies, and occasional donuts. Their pastries and turnovers are not to be missed either, and no kid's birthday party is complete without cake or cupcakes from BC Cakes. Do you have a great idea for that special cake? Brooke and Carmen are artists with a passion for cake. BC Cakes and More provide custom cakes for any occasion. Whether you're looking for an after-dinner dessert or an elaborate cake for a special party, they've got it all. They don't just make cakes for you, they create them for you. They turn your ideas into stunning works of art. If you have a wedding in your future, BC Cakes pride themselves on making your wedding cake everything you've ever dreamed of. They have cake designs that are simply stunning, but if you're looking for something uniquely yours, they are excited to work with you to fulfill your vision. Brooke and Carmen invite you to make BC Cakes and More your sweet treat destination. Oh, and don't forget to check out their website and like them on Facebook. BC Cakes and More, Crandon, Wisconsin.
Well, we're back. Our hot dish is in the oven. If you'd like a recipe, a copy of this recipe, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to Cluck TV. Cooking It Up with Betty, cheesy, beefy macaroni hot dish. Well, Ben, it's been so wonderful having you on my show. You know, I would imagine you're in a fraternity over there at PU.
Of course. I am actually the treasurer. That's treasurer at Oinka Pigga Pigga Fraternity, the favorite fraternity among the sorority sisters.
Ooh, and you handle the money. That's pretty special.
Mm-hmm. And I handle the women.
Oh my, well, I can see why. And thank you, Ben, for being here. I see we're almost out of time.
Actually, are you sure you don't have anything else to cook? I feel like I could really get some more experience from you.
Well, I'm sure I have some other recipes.
Do you happen to have any recipes that involve more beer?
Well, I do indeed. Yes, I do. I have several.
Sounds great. You know what? I'm going to head back to PU, grab some more beer, come back, and then we'll cook some more.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Ben. Bye. Oh, well, thank you. My roving reporters, thank you, Ben, for being here. And thank you, my home viewing audience. Always a pleasure to have you. Anything can happen on Cooking It Up with Betty. Come back next time. Bye now.
Hello there, Ellen Seesmore here, birdwatcher extraordinaire from As the Corn Grows. My fellow soap stars and I are taking some time off to visit some neighboring counties and towns. Take a look and see what we've discovered. Ooh.
In the county of Martin, in the town of Fairmont, Minnesota, you will find Our Story Productions. In 2007, Jeff and Denise Rouse had a goal to produce a television program that would highlight the businesses, organizations, events, and people of their community. After hiring a local production company and recruiting friends and community members to volunteer, they began one of the most unique programs on TV. Because of their unique and, dare we say, corny programming, the show gained popularity. With their popularity, other communities began to contact them to see if they could be a part of the Our Story family. New programs were added and additional volunteers were recruited. The Our Story team discovered some of the best stories were coming out of some of the smallest towns. So the decision was made to feature as many of the small towns as possible, no matter how small. I believe every small town has a story and they all need to be told. With a staff that includes over 60 volunteers, the television show Destination Small Town has spotlighted over 450 small towns in 4 states and has told over 2,000 stories about their communities. Each show is aired in over 1 million households on cable television as well as on their website, YouTube, Facebook, and yes, even Pinterest. Executive producer Jeff Rouse shared, "We continue to receive requests from businesses and organizations that wish to join the Our Story family, and we look forward to adding many more small towns to the Our Story family." To learn more about Our Story Productions and the towns, businesses, and points of interest they have featured, visit their website at www.destinationsmalltown.com. Our Story Productions is proud to be sharing the lifestyle that's shared in the small towns of the Upper Midwest, for it's not just the past, but the present that becomes our story.
Get ready, because now you can see a late-night talk show filmed in front of a discerning yet agreeable studio audience. Split Hoof tonight. Cousin John and his incomparable sidekick, Earl Silo, interview a roster of guests who make appearances that you won't want to miss. Now on this station and the web.